Hello there, welcome to Showcase. The Barbie film has grossed over $1 billion worldwide since its release. And it's also boosted interest in American toy company Mattel's 64-year-old doll. And it's even made one Denmark museum busier than ever. Let's take a look.
Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie.
Greta Gerwig's Barbie is being praised for its storytelling, though before such films, the fans of Mattel's beloved doll grew up playing and imagining their own Barbie stories. The company released its first prototype in 1959, and since then its appearance has changed many times. And one museum in Copenhagen seems to be the best place to get a glimpse of that transformation. Its owner, Lene Dali Pedersen, says after the release of the film, the interest in her Barbie Museum, which has more than 4,000 dolls on display, has soared. But how did she develop such an obsession in the first place?
I started with those 80s dolls. I just thought she was beautiful and she had some nice clothes, etc. I was actually collecting old toys, but then there was a lady who collected Barbie dolls in the club I went to. And I thought that was quite fun. And then I started collecting.
And after a certain point, she felt she had no other option than to open up this venue.
The museum is because I had so many dolls lying around at home and I didn't have room for them. Then these premises became available and I applied for it.
From the royal family to singer Beyoncé, her collection also includes these special edition pieces. As for the original Barbie, she gets a makeover as the times change.
She has changed her facial expression approximately every 10 years. So she became a little more chubby or like a little more plump in the face and also in the body shape, around the hips and stuff like that.
The interest in the Barbie movie will eventually fade, but as long as Mattel keeps releasing new dolls and Pedersen adds new characters to her collection, it seems that the famed Barbie party in this museum will never end.
Six art pieces are currently sitting beneath the dim light of the Washington Monument. They each revisit U.S. history to see who and what should be commemorated and how art can help us remember.
What stories remain untold on the National Mall is the central question this exhibit in Washington, D.C. aims to answer. It has assembled innovative structures that explore the defining chronicles of American resilience, such as civil rights, enslavement histories, indigenous inheritance, and immigration pathways. Beyond Granite, Pulling Together is also the first outdoor exhibit to be created in the heart of the U.S.
So I purposefully make these monuments that have a kind of a lot of empty space for people to speak or write or make an inscription that's about themselves personally. So this piece is about freedom, but doesn't tell you what freedom is. Instead, it asks you, each person one at a time, what kind of freedom do you want? What is it? And then you can complete this patriotic song that is about liberty. It plays all the notes, but then the last note is not there. And then you fill that gap by ringing the large bell. From here, yeah. Towards you. Good job.
Pulling Together is influenced by Black opera singer Marian Anderson's 1939 Easter Sunday performance on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, as she was barred from nearby Constitution Hall due to segregation. The performance inspired the exhibition's probe into American identity.
I think it's telling a more accurate and interesting story of what it means to be an American. And so I think these contributions help flesh that narrative out.
Beyond Granite, Pulling Together invites everyone to embrace a new age of cultural interpretation and social engagement until September 18th. The exhibit also serves as a powerful reminder of America's varied past and present, while setting the foundation for a more inclusive future.
he didn't rap, he couldn't break dance, so instead he grabbed the camera and started snapping everything hip-hop. And now British photographer Normski is ready to release his body of work as a way to celebrate the genre's 50th anniversary.
Normski, Man with the Golden Shutter, is the photographer's upcoming book of photos and anecdotes about hip-hop. Normski was 7 years old when the genre was born at a house party in New York's Bronx in 1973. Not long after, he took an interest in photography and went on to take pictures of some of the greatest exponents of hip-hop music over the years.
I started photography when I was very young, and literally about 10 or 11 I had an interest in photography. I started to take it seriously in my teens, early teens, and I was at college studying it by the time I was 15, at which point hip-hop had arrived. Mid-80s hip-hop was really here, and so I was I was seeing other people that were just like me for the first time, and we had a common interest.
Together with its dancing, rapping and DJing, hip-hop became a huge part of mainstream global culture, and Normski was right there to capture it all.
It just was a really new thing to the UK, and it was quite apparent that it wasn't going to go away, and it's quite apparent now that it's not going to go away. It's evolved and become the biggest global genre, I believe, that we've ever had in our lifetimes.
From Public Enemy to Queen Latifah, back in the day, Normski got to hang out with many of the greats.
My photography skill and style is an instant capture, being in the right place at the right time, having the camera ready, grabbing the shot anyway, and then thinking about stuff afterwards. That's kind of how I've always worked, and I'm hoping that people see that in my work. When you see the images, there's an intimacy and an immediacy about the capture of the subject.
Normski didn't miss a beat when it came to capturing the evolution of hip-hop, which, from very humble beginnings, grew to become a multi-billion-dollar industry.
London's oldest bookstore, Hatchards, has witnessed a surge in sales of Charles Dickens's classic novel, A Tale of Two Cities. And the sudden spike in demand has all to do with a viral trend on TikTok. Here's why.
According to thegreatestbooks.org, Charles Dickens's A Tale of Two Cities is the most printed original English book with 200 million copies sold. Despite that fame, Hatchards manager Francis Cleverdon would sell only about 1 copy a week. But since July, the sales have surged, thanks to TikTok.
One always sells quite a lot of Dickens, but all of a sudden the Tale of Two Cities went completely wild, and we sold 15 copies in a week and all that sort of thing. And you try and discover why it is that everybody's buying it, and they're saying, oh, it's because it's in the book. And he does it, and all that, which is lovely.
The book Cleverdon is talking about is the Infernal Devices trilogy by Cassandra Clare. The Dickens book, bought at Hatchards, is a central part of its story.
That night, there had been a soft tap on Tessa's door, and when she had gone to open it, she found nobody there, only a book resting on the corridor floor, A Tale of Two Cities. There was a copy of the book in the library, which she could read as often as she wanted, but this one was brand new, with a receipt from Hatchards marking the title page.
And fans of Clare's bestseller are visiting Hatchards to reenact the character's story. Just like Ritti Chopra, who is a college student and TikToker living in North Carolina. She visited London in July and recorded her purchase.
Being able to be in that place where, some of my favorite fictional characters have been was just, it was interesting to see, how would have the story, how would have Will bought the book here? This is the same exact place. So it was exciting to be there. It was also really beautiful. The bookshop, I remember the stairs are just so pretty, and all the books, and it's such a warm and comfy feeling, and it was really fun being there.
Because she's not on TikTok, the writer of the trilogy wasn't even aware of her fans' videos. She says she'd picked that particular bookstore because her grandfather would often take her there.
You climb these lovely winding steps and, you have this real sense of being surrounded sort of by the history of books. And one of the things I wanted to do when writing historical fiction, especially for young people, is to situate them in a place where I can say, Will went out and bought this book at Hatchard's. This is something you could do too. It doesn't matter that it happened 150 years ago. You can still go to Hatchard's, you can still buy a book there. History is with us, it's present.
Although the books are not recent, the reason they and many others are going viral is thanks to hashtag Booktok. Influencers on the platform review older books for their younger audience. According to Circana Books and Entertainment in the US, Booktok authors' sales have nearly quadrupled between 2020 and 2022, from 13 to 47 million books sold.
We had some grumbling in the market about the fact that this Booktok phenomenon was actually cannibalizing frontlist sales because everybody was looking over here at Booktok and it was all anybody was talking about, and new books were not getting as much traction.
Circana says the sales of books boosted by the platform are starting to slow this year, but nobody quite knows what the next wave of Booktok will bring.
Japanese filmmaker Yasujiro Ozu is a national treasure in his homeland. On the international front, his films are considered among the gems of world cinema, and perhaps none more so than Tokyo Story. And in our movie Almanac, Alijana explains how the film not only touched audiences from different cultures, but also became a symbol of Japan's soft power in the post-war world.
In Tokyo Story, an elderly couple leave their village to visit their children in the city. But it seems the grown-up kids don't have the time to spend with their parents. And it's the couple's widowed daughter-in-law who spares the time to be with them.
そしたらせがれのやつ、東京は人がお言うて上が使いとなうとやが。あんたどう思う？育児のない話じゃろうが、関東精神言うんが何にもない。わしはそんなつもりで育てたんじゃない。あんたの言うことはようわかる。あんたの言うようにわしも不満じゃ。やがの沼田さん。
Tokyo Story is an examination of family values. It also shows what kind of effects city life could have on that. The movie is considered director Yasujiro Ozu's masterpiece, both for its subject matter and the way it's filmed with a calm style, made up of static shots.
でもお母様、ダメよこんなことしちゃ。どうぞ。私の方こそあんたにあげにゃいけんのに。いいえ、そんなこと。ね、どうぞお母様。どうぞ。そう。すみませんな。じゃあ、いただきます。どうぞ。
But other than its cinematic merits, the feature also has another thing going for itself. Scholars say it became a representation of Japan's soft power in the post-war world, which helped the country build bridges with the West in the 1950s and seek diplomatic relations on all fronts. Critics point out that with his calm style, universal themes, and what they call the humanism of Tokyo Story, Ozu filmed to that vision. That is global politics. On the movie buffs front, it's still considered a world classic that, due to its subject matter, that still retains its relevance.
John Travolta is a man of many hats. Over the years, the actor has assumed a range of roles from star dancers to existentialist hitman. But with his new comeback film, we get to see side to Travolta we've never seen before.
We got a 904 on Old Finch Road, and we got 2 dead.
What was that? We got the money. The money? We killed 2 people, Trey!
Mobland is set in Dixieland, southern US. In a town with an evident crime problem, it's up to Sheriff Davis to keep things under control. And he's played by none other than John Travolta.
What are we dealing with? Locals, that's all. Nothing that can't be handled quick. I'll recover what was taken.
Ever since his debut, Travolta has built his image by taking on roles of rebels and even criminals. But this time, he dons the badge of a lawman. And instead of the white-hot energy he brings to his characters, this role shows off a world-weary Travolta.
Hands up!
Even though this is a new direction for him, director Nicholas Maggio says he didn't have to take too much charge over the character, as Travolta was already well prepared. In a sense, Travolta's U-turn move is not so different from what action star Sylvester Stallone did in Copland. That was another low-key role in a similar setting. However, media outlets put Mobland in the same category as the Coen brothers film No Country for Old Men.
You okay? You won't tell me something?
As we all know, that one had a similar dark tone, but it also had big ambitions, and ended up winning 4 majors at the 2008 Academy Awards. So could it be that Travolta is also seeking Oscar glory? He's been nominated in the past for Saturday Night Fever and Pulp Fiction, but has never quite broken the vicious circle. Reviews call his performance exciting. As for Beyond, it's too early to tell, since the award season buzz is still months away. But in the meantime, the film does give audiences a look at another side of Travolta's many faces.
You may all be sliding towards the edge. It's up to you how comfortable you are doing it.
Sigourney Weaver is one of the pioneers of strong female portrayals on the big screen. And she started doing that more than 40 years ago. But now, with her new series, Weaver turns her attention to the small screen and shows that she still leads the way.
When I was little, I used to dream about fire. Fire is an element that requires friction, fuel, and oxygen.
The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart tells the tale of an orphaned girl who ends up living with her grandmother on a flower farm. Set in Australia, it follows how Alice and the other women there bond over the hardships they've faced, especially domestic violence. Reviews say the show is all about female empowerment and maternal love. Both these themes are handled with respect, and at the center of it all is the mysterious Grandma June. June is a complex character that anchors the story. She's played by lead Sigourney Weaver, who also happens to be one of the producers of the production. Her involvement in the project is not surprising. Weaver has dedicated her life's work to playing women who are smart, strong, and survivors. Her performance as Ellen Ripley in the Alien franchise changed the role of women in genre cinema. Here was a lady who not only rose above her peers, but also got to beat larger-than-life extraterrestrials.
Gonna tell me?
Weaver brought that can-do attitude to the diverse roles she took. According to Lost Flowers producer Jodie Matterson, that's also the case with their show. She says Weaver is fearless and has a fierce intellect that added to their arsenal. As for Weaver, she believes women keep the planet together, but they still are not portrayed on screen as interesting, capable and incredible as they really are. She adds that their show is about hope in the face of harsh tests of life. Now in her 70s, she still addresses issues important to her with the roles she assumes. And that kind of dedication shows age is just a number.
I just promised I'd keep her safe. Can we do that, Twig?
One of the most famous Zambian psychedelic rock bands, Witch, is back after almost 40 years. They were popular in the 60s and 70s with their fusion of Zambian traditional music and rock and roll.
Which is an acronym for We Intend to Cause Havoc. The band first became popular just after the liberation of Zambia in 1964. The government wanted to promote Zambian culture, and a decree was issued that only local music would be played on radio. If a group had an album, it was promoted immediately. Zamrock legends Witch have now risen from the ashes with their first album in 39 years.
We wanted to play pop music, we wanted to play rock and roll, but we are Africans, we are Zambians, so a certain percentage of us was African. So it's like an African trying to play rock and roll. So in the end, it was Zambian type of rock and roll, hence Zamrock.
It was this fusion that made the band popular all over the world. The lead vocal Emmanuel Chanda was even given the nickname Jagari, an Africanization of Mick Jagger. But with the turmoil of the 80s, Zamrock was doomed. Members left the band to pursue different careers.
Now, it seems what was happening around the world, in the UK, with Top of the Pops, people were doing the same thing in Zambia. And we didn't know actually the quality and the level of musicianship we're playing. We thought we were left behind, but actually, we've come to prove that actually the music was as good as what was happening in the rest of the world.
Zamrock regained its popularity in 2010 thanks to the internet and producers who re-released some Zamrock albums in the US. And Chanda has revived the band and been touring with European musicians since 2019. Which is now introducing a new album, Zango, meaning meeting place.
It could very well be that many of these bands would just kind of only be remembered by the generation that witnessed the bands, and the next generation would just be out of touch with it a little bit. And that would be a big shame, because to me, this is like a super important part of Zambian music history, you know? Like, all these bands ideally would be known everywhere, and they would all get the recognition that they deserve.
Interest in Zamrock and the band is slowly growing, but there is still much to do to preserve the legacy. In the meantime, Chanda hopes to raise enough money to open a music school and a recording studio back in Zambia.
That's it for this episode of Showcase. I'm Esra Dürüst. From me and the whole team here in Istanbul, thanks so much for watching, and bye for now.